Okay. Kia ora koe, kia ora koutou, kia ora tātou. Rau kia mai nei tū te mira. Kia ora koutou I kare mā. Hey, kia ora ne Rose, te hei. Good to see you. So where are you in the hood? You left Tāmaki Makaurau. Yeah, so just been out to Ruatoki about half an hour now ago, and just managed to get across the over the bridge at Tāneatua towards the back road at the back road, and you can go across there. Don't go on the Reeds roads, Awaho roads, and just past Patrick McGarvey's place. There's a better way to book it around there. But it was going to carry on raining there for the next hour or so, but it seemed to be settled down over here. But or else the water just a couple of feet from the bridge and down there to the Awa Tauranga. And so be careful as you're on the road today. And koe rana whakaneke koe kone e karema. Yeah.
Hey, Dad.
Yeah.
Did you tell Nat where the studio is?
No. We here at over at Whakatane, down by the board mills. So, yep, it's here at Mill Road. Iwa te kau Marua. So, whakapā mai. Haven't seen you for a while there, Kare. Come and bring your guitar.
Yeah, true. I haven't heard her play in a long time. You still playing, Nat? You still gigging?
Apart from making kids.
Just me and Dad today, Whānau. I don't know, Toy's doing council stuff, I think. Oh, no, he's stuck behind the river.
Stuck. He didn't want to take the rest. So
yeah, he couldn't get across the bridge.
Yeah.
We got our mate Te Whenua who's going to start doing the rustling for us, Dad.
Okay. Oh, cool. Cool.
Yeah, she's onto it. She'll get us some good guests on.
Oh, cool.
Hey, Finn.
Yeah, I got Irana. I'm not too sure what day she's coming across. Irana, the netball girl from Tarawa.
Oh, yeah, okay. Cool.
Yeah, because she can do some art.
I think I think you're having a visit from a couple of musicians even this year, right?
Yeah.
You've got Delaney Davidson, who's going to come hang with you
on Saturday.
On Saturday, yeah. Oh, that's cool. So we'll have him on.
Yeah. So he'll be
and
here
then
with his guitar and some artwork.
He basically want to come here to want to do some collaboration.
cool.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. I actually quite like his work,
Yep.
the bro. You know, you don't get many
Big time musician and also an artist, you know.
they're cool.
And I think you've got Teeks coming to visit you
Yep,
early in the new year.
yep,
He's keen to do some collaboration with you as well.
yeah. I hope he doesn't get me to sing.
I don't know. You can hold the tune, Dad.
Oh yeah, I can. But bit shy with fellas like him.
Yeah, he's mad talented.
Yeah, yeah, you know.
Yeah, I enjoyed telling their story about the Fiji the other night. There was a couple of
Yeah.
things I forgot to share, but I
Oh, yeah.
will think about it what it is. You know, and in particular, having those conversations with his sister and the niece, and they were the ones in the background, making sure he's getting all powder up and you know, spruce up and looking an international look. You know, and
I might need to just give some people some context if they weren't here last week. And so if you weren't here on Saturday, that we're talking about this, which was Dad had travelled to Fiji at the time of the coup. Was it the second coup with
well, the
George
last
Speight?
had been civil, and
Yeah,
that was
that was the last one, eh?
the last two before Frank Panorama did the hit on Joe Nata and and others.
Yeah. So Dad had travelled across as part of a Radio Watia and went over to and basically got recognised and got given an audience with George Speight, and then was telling the story of the plane being turned around midair and him being accused of, or basically,
Bomb.
you know, being told that he was the reason the plane got turned around, that there was a bomb on the plane and all kinds of stuff. So all right, and so there was some stuff there, Dad, that you wanted to add to that story.
I can't remember at the moment, and you know when you tell these stories, you know, you say, oh shit, I should have said this and shared these thoughts around it.
Right.
But John Murphy was there. He was there on their last one, and was really just to pass a message to the Panorama. We didn't actually spoke to Frank, but we spoke to his high rank of the SAS guys.
Right.
And they were keen, to talk to the to Winston Peter, who was the Foreign Affairs Minister under Helen Clark, and and also, of course, they know Winston, being Tanata Whenua,
Other than being the leader of the New Zealand Party.
Yeah, interesting fellow, Winston Peter. I seen Winston Peter back in the 70s. He was going to uni with, in the 70s, 72 with Donna Awatiri and all of those guys. And before he actually become a politician. And so there's very few of us from that era still around, still talking. And way back in those days in 1971, 72, 73. And that actually been at Parliament, you know, and I was there for at least 10 months, staying there on the grounds in my little pub tent, and also receive a 10 by 10 tent, canvas tent, back those big old tent canvas, and delivered to us by a lady, well shit, I can't remember her name now, but she used to live in Hanoi under Ho Chi Minh, and old comrade, communist, but you know, kind of middle class, bourgeoisie, in her case, sort of kind of mix of radicals back in those days.
And so you're saying Winston Peters used to hang out with you fellas in your radical days?
Not really, but he was around. You know, he was a bit of a character even way back in those days for Winston. And there's some kore, I guess beat him all here. Kia ora e hoa. Beat him used to be part of the Aotearoa back in the days, and he was one that came across there and visited me every now and then. And from you know, when I was a guest of Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth Iti Garbage, and beat him. Yeah, we're coming down your way on January for the Ngā Tamoto event, 50 years of Ngā Tamoto. Actually, it will be 51 years, but not 50 years. Yeah. So we're coming over there. Your cousin, the one Orewa in Hone's Kōtiru was organising that, or the whānau from Ngāiterani is organising that.
Yeah, sort of, maybe. Yeah, there's a lot of things going on and different crews running them, but I know Te Whenua was working with us on a couple of things as well.
Yeah, well,
like
with the
whakatumatuma. Yeah. Who else have we got there? In Twitch, we've got Two Slick, Hiramia, and Digi Rands, Tuhoi Chief, kia ora bro.
Oh, yep.
And kia ora to the whānau over there on Facebook Live as well. And I imagine we'll find some spam coming through on the YouTube channel. It tends to be the only comments we get from them.
Kia ora, Rob. Nā mihi kia koe nā te whātua. Hey, that's a flash name you got there, my bro. Yeah. How do you say that?
Rhythm Rogue.
Yeah, Rhythm Rogue. Get on, my bro. Good miso too there, bro. And his kōtiro. Magic.
Why do you think that people are so easy, or you know, there is an inclination to associate you with terrorism so easily?
Oh, it's just a propaganda, you know.
You got to say popularity.
Yeah. It's just another word. Back in the days, they used to call you a rebel, and or they call you a communist, or they call you a fascist. You know, all of those. It's just a label. It's a name. It's created by the media. Media create that. And yeah, sometimes the word of the media propagates or propaganda, and everybody thinks that's a word of God. But yeah, not quite. Funny though, I don't know where I already mentioned that, but I was at a bit of a no over in Rotorua. We had this kind of session around working with the ladies from the Magic, and we sat around in our early session. We go out there, and we scattered around in the garden place and sit around and have some meditation and reflection. I might have already told that story, and then sitting there, minding my own business, trying to breathe. Then I hear this voice calling out, "Tame Iti, that's you, Tame Iti." And I turn to the left and I look at this guy walking towards me, having a chat. And can I ask you a question? Yep. Yeah, I reckon the Māori Party is racist. Oh, yeah. Well, what do you think? You know, well, imagine at the park here had a party called the Pākehā Party. And say, oh yeah, you know what I mean, eh? You know, oh well, I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you. But bro, there is heaps of Pākehā parties called National Party, the ACT Party, the Green Party, the Labour, the all Pākehā Party. Yeah, so he kind of trying to have this conversation, trying to have this conversation with me about, being Māori Party. At the same tone, he said, but I'm Māori, I'm fair, but you can see because I'm Māori, I'm Ngāpuhi, all that at the same tone. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, the Terrorist Suppression Act. Interesting time. I probably already mentioned it before. Talked about this. Yes, I was. No, we were running a camp. No, it wasn't. We were running a camp down in Ruatoki, not in the middle of the Uruwera. Well, it is part of the Uruwera, but it was just not far from where I am today. In fact, it was just across the river. One part of it was just across the river, and just back in the back of the hills. And it wasn't anything. It wasn't a secret. Everybody knew about it because all the locals were part of it. All the Hāmua, the Ngāti Rono, all of the Ngāti Koura. And then all the Ruatahuna lot from Tamakai Moana, from Mangapoa. So there was heaps of people there. It was all good. We went trying to run a terrorist camp to outdo our own or to kill our own. So that's a crazy whakaaro. Wait, did he was it? Hey, what?
No, just kidding. Oh, why you're trying to incriminate me, bro?
No. It's just a chat. That's all history,
No. Yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
It's all history,
Yeah, I mean, we have talked about it before, which is when my house got raided and.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Now, our mate Tawhenua has actually managed to hook us up with a kai kōrero dad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, kai kōrero. Yeah. So we're gonna get Bentham on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great.
Where do you know Bentham from?
His father is the brother to my mate, Ringo, John all here.
Oh yeah. I remember Ringo growing up.
Yeah, Ringo. You know Ringo, the bro.
The fro,
Yeah.
the bro with the fro.
Yeah, he was a big tall fellow with an afro and very smart fellow, very clever. And we hang out, we were pretty out of it, the fellas. Of course, he's taller than me, and he's stroppy fellow. And I also know Peter's dad too, and the father. They're actually close friends of mine, their family.
Yeah, so Too Slick, what we're going to do is we've actually, just because me and Toy get mad busy and it's a little bit hard for us to kind of coordinate the guests. Gets a bit random and ad hoc depending on our availability, but we've got a mate who's going to help us do some wrangling, and that's the sis Te Whenua Harawira to help us a little bit to get some of the guests on. But next this Saturday we've got we have Delaney Davidson, who's going to be working on a project with Dad, and he said to play some music for us on Saturday. So we'll try and get the music happening on the Saturdays, and then have the kai kōreros on the Wednesday nights. We've been a bit random because Dad's been away doing different gigs, so the Wednesday nights have been a little bit sometimes nah.
Yeah, pretty full on.
Yeah. But there's a long list of people who just like to sort of chill and hang out with Dad while he's doing his art. And so we're getting more and more requests. Like I say, it's just it's tricky just making the time to schedule it all in and get all the technical working. So. Let me just see if were you at Bentham? Did you get the link?
Yeah, you need a big wall to get one of this painting here.
Yeah, it's one of your bigger ones, that one, eh?
Yeah, he's big. Big fella is.
I tell you, want to pull out a bit on that one, bro?
Yeah, I've been having a chat with Owen Debbie, so he's still keen to do some work in Tane Iti collaboration.
Oh yeah. Where is he at the moment?
He's in Tauran, still in Tauran. I think he was contemplating going to Auckland, and him and Aaron gonna make their way there.
Kia ora, Wayne. Tame, not Tama. Tame, Tame, not Tama. Yes. Just complimenting your work there, Dad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's there's Tuhoi Chief is over on Twitch there, Dad. He's just asking if you've got any advice.
Yeah, bro. I mean, I don't know who I'm talking to, Chief, but it's just a rhythm, a process that you personally had to go through yourself, and a lot easier for a lot of people now to have a mataora now than it was back in our days. So many people now. So different ways, people do it for a whole different reason. You know, apart from look at me, look at this, you know, it's more than that. It's more than that. You know, you had to carry it, you had to walk it. You know, I keep forgetting, you know, sometimes you work, you keep forgetting that you got it on, you know. And, but you know, took me a long time, you know, to get over that. And, yeah, it's a marking that, you know, you walk with it. And, you know, there's people always ask those questions. Oh, am I really doing it? What do you have to do if you want to wear one? You know, all of those. I mean, those are the kind of koro that people need to talk about to themselves or share with others. You know, just like many of us, myself, I carried that thought for quite a few years and thought about it, and then when that time is ready, when your heart, your soul, your whakaaro is ready to do it, yeah, and yeah, so it's a lot easier. So there'll be very few places now where they can able to kick you out in bars, you know. So I went, you know, some of us went through all of that, been booted out of the bars, hotel, you know, and been interrogated in many ways. Yeah, so kei te haere koe ki hea Chief, te kau mātou o te marame tū mai ne, where you having it. You say you're hitting me, are you the tāwhai, bro? Yeah, but anyway, kai a koe mō tēnei hoa. Mena e hohoua nei roto i tō nā kai i tō wairua, koe nā tō hia ki te mau i te moko. Ai, kai a koe mō tēnei. Not to me or anybody else. Not to me, ko koe ke kai te mau i tēnei. Yeah, but all good. Sweet. You know, we talked about that, you know, and people about particularly at the mataora, you know, because some artists want charts, you know, and I always, when I'm talking to people, is you know, how do you value that the work that the artist putting on to you? And sometimes people say, who actually owned the work? The artist or you? You know, all of that. So there's some, you know, there's a whole lot of quarter around that. You know, and yeah. Of course, there's a whole lot of people involved in it. It's not just me wearing it, but it's a process. Who did I talk to? How did we get the design? It's a tifana, the making. It is a two-way one. You know, and we even went down to Te Papa. not the papa, there was a museum before the papa. Whanau na hema Temara, or she's a Tepa. And when she was working there at the museum, I asked her if we can have a look at the mukumukai. So we want to have a look at it. And this was myself, Chaz, I can't remember who was the other fellas. But they bought these mukumukai, these heads, smoke heads, look like in the shoebox. So, interesting. Even just doing that, even just going to the museum, and and you can feel it. You can feel it. You can. Yes, it was very special for me. And we have our little karakia. And just going through there because we actually looking at the ancestor, a tipuna, in a little shoebox. And there were mukumukai that they brought back from overseas. And I think they might have already had some there. And so I'm not too sure what the ture or the cover around mukumukai where they're stored in the museum. So over in the years, there have been several people who were involved in returning, some of the museum in Germany, all around the world, given a lot of those hits back, and some of those hits were given back to the whānau, to the hapu, to the iwi. And I remember when Eva Rickard, when she had her mokotan, moko by Rangi Skipper, and because of the Taranaki connection in Parihaka, and so I recommend her that Rangi Skipper will be the one. So she had a mokotan that afternoon. She was on the train the same day, that night, and because she had a job to do, and the first job with the mokokauai was the return of the mukumukai, and she was one that I'm not too sure exactly where it was. It might have been in Raglan or somewhere in Waikato anyway. Yeah.
Hey, Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got Bentham here. I'll just bring him on. There we go. Kia ora, Bentham.
Kia ora. Kia ora, whānau.
Kia ora, Chi.
Good
to see you.
Pai ki te anō ki a koutou, ki a koe anō ki matua. Ai. Tēnā koutou.
Ka pai. Pai te ki te tō kano, you're looking well there, you're looking younger every day, mate.
Oh, yeah, must be all these trees behind me. Kei te noho mātou ki Wanaka.
Oh, okay.
Wanaka, tō mai, ai. Nā, no konei taku, te whānau taku wahine, nā reira, Māori nā māwa, i hanga he whare ki konei, ki Wanaka. Ai, so kei konei mātou.
Ka rawe. Ka rawe.
He Cherington, taku hoa wahine. No Ngāti Hine, no te tai toke rau engari tana pāpā i hara mai ki te tonga, i te kimi mahi i ngā tau, ki Ocean Beach, whare patu miti, e rao ngā wahi. Ka noho, ka whai wahine ia i konei, ka tahi ka mārena tētahi ngā wahine puti o Mirihuku, ka tahi ka whānau mai taku hoa rangatire a Kate Cherington, me te whānau Cherington.
Ka rawe.
Whai ki te a koutou, tēnā koutou.
Ai. En kai roto tonu koe i nā kaupapa mā taurana tana, kai ako?
Ai, kei reira tonu, whai i ngā tapu pāpā, a Monty, mahi ai o rāna. I noho au i te wānanga Aotearoa mo te rua te koutou, iau i reira i ki te anō ki a koe, te rangatira. Me ki raro i ngā ringaringa o Ngāti Mani o Poto o Ngāti Apukura.
Ai.
Nā tirau kawa, tirau o ngā wai. Ai, so, lōku ke te wai mari e ki te hara mai ki tō taha i aua wā.
Ai. Oh, nā
Hei
mi
hoa,
kia.
hei hoa, hei whanaunga anō ki o mātātua waka.
Ai.
Tau taku papa nā pōtiki nā pōtiki hapu nā te rangi, nā te pūkenga.
Ai. Tino pai, o tino mihara ki a kōrua ko tōkuna whanaunga peka mai ki te kōrero noa ho, te whakawhanaunga tana. He mea nui tērā, e noha nei roto i wera, hei manuhiri ma iri hāpeti.
Ai.
Tērā.
Ko mahi e mahi runga i te tika, te pono, te aroha, e rā tū mō mahi o mahi. Nā reira, ka tika me hara mai ki a koe mi e whakamiri o pukohiwi i a koe e noho ana i raro i te pane koti a iri hāpeti me ki.
Ai.
I runga i te whakapono i o mahi, i runga i te whakapono i o mahi taku matua keke a John Ohia mā, ko tau mā, i ngā tau. Ko kano o taku pāpā tērā.
Ai, mai mahara. E hoki mahara ana woku kōreo i te wā i harau i mai i Canada, i St. James, ara ki i tērā whenua. E rua nā inua i hō mai hea e nā iwi take o reira. Do you know, koe nei te rangatiro o Nai Tahura.
Mark Solomon?
No, te kaumata. Ai, O'Regan.
Tipene O'Regan.
Tipene O'Regan. Do you know Tipene O'Regan? Yes, I do know Tipene O'Regan. Me tō pāpā, yeah. So they also mention his name. So they were the two names that they i whakahua hia mai e rātai kia hau o i rā tāna tā rongo nui. Ro te ao mā taurana.
Ai. Kona pē te āhua tanga o ngā iwi take o te ao. Kia kotahi anō ki tā mawhakaro me o mātou nei mahi. Hai āwhana tētahi ki tētahi. I runga i te mea i colonizingia i ngā Pākehā i a tātou katoa huri noi te motu huri noi te ao. Nā reira, ko ngā tangata whenua o tērā whenua, ka rā whakaropuhia kia kohi i ngā whainga, te taia, te tū, tangata whenua i roto i o rātou nei whenua. Ko kei ahi te reirea, kei Canada, kei Indian country, America, kei Aotearoa, kei Hawaii e rā wāhi katoa nā reira. Kona pē te whainga matua ki tā aroha tētehi ki tā whina tētehi nā tangata iwi take o te ao e te rangatira.
Tēnei pātai tāku kā koe. E haha o nā whakaro i te āhua tana tō tātou reo. E kōrero hia nei i tēnei wā. E hau korona we e tai tāna te pātai mai nei āhau o kuna whakaro. Nā te mea pēne ana hau nene rere ke no atu tō kuna mita i tō kuna reana. Iau i ruatoki no ahu. Engari he ahua rere ke anō te reo o mātau o ruatoki tērā i te re ana o nai ane. Tērā. E hau o whakaro mō tērā ahua tano tō tāu.
Ki au nei matua iau e mahi ana i te taha o tō whanaunga rongo wetere i ngā tau i te wānanga o Aotearoa nāna anō ki te whakaro kia whaka tūwharai hea te huarahi mo te iti, mo te rahi, mo te katoa Māori mai, Pākehā mai, aha mai, ki tāko i te reo Māori. Ko tērā kaupapa i taua wā tonu ko te ara reo Māori tērā. Kia māma te ako o te whānau ki tō tātou nei reo. I te mea aua mo etehi ki te ako i roto i ngā kura tuarua, mainstream schools i ngā tau o miri. Engari, ka pēhea ki te whakamāma i te ako i tō tātou nei reo Māori nā reira nāna te whakaro nā rātou me ki, nā founders o te wānanga o Aotearoa ngā whakaro kia māma te ako i te reo Māori. I te mea ko te nuinga o tātou, e ahua aua ki te ako i ngā kaupapa pāngarau, the mathematics me te tai ao, te science me e rātu ahuatanga. So they tried to teach us to speak te reo Māori similar to how they were teaching maths and science and social studies and all these other things. So karehea mea Māori ngoiho wasn't a natural way of learning really. So I think ātārangi, a lot of different kaupapa that have been created have really aimed to focus on the different learning styles of our people, which is quite diverse.
Yes.
So the diverse realities of our people need diverse solutions, and that's no different with te reo Māori, especially in education too.
Yeah, sure.
Education was supposed to be an enabler and a transformer, but it was a oppressor in terms of how education was introduced to our country. So, and it made ourselves think we were dumb because we weren't passing these educational school certificate, university entrance, and all these other things that were created to continue to oppress us. So if education's the oppressor, then education's got to be the transformer if it's done through us, through our way, centered on our interests, and it's an intergenerational focus for emancipation, transformation of our people.
Okay. Yeah, I know I got couple of mokopuna attend the kura kaupapa kohanga reo, kura kaupapa, and I'm really amazed by the fact of the generation of the mokopuna that are been encouraged to use them. Mā tatau rātou na whakaaro te reo, te reo tō tau ina reo, me te reo Pākehā no hoki. Yeah, and I think that they putting that together of the kohanga reo and the kura kaupapa, and because this other mokopuna, te Rangi Moaho, who attend the Whakatāne high schools, first time mainstream, first time ever. They did really well, and so
good.
I kind of heard some kōrero back in the days, or there are going to be difficulties for kids going to those kura and going to mainstream, or it's not going to help them. I kind of disagree with it, you know, and ki tēnā, kai te kahake nā tamariki. I find it very sharp, koe o rātou nā hine naro.
Pai ki au te whakatauki a Sir Mason Dewey, me ana kōrero, diverse realities of our people require diverse solutions, ne? We're not all the same, we're different, you know, so the diverse realities of who we are as Māori require diverse solutions. So that's seen that in the education models and our acquisition of our te reo Māori, te ātārangi, te ara reo, all these kura kaupapa training and all these other options. You know, I think that's just who we are. We're very diverse in terms of our histories and where we come from, so we need sort of diverse sort of range of options as part of our solutions to fully realize the inherited and ancestral sort of skills and abilities that our tupuna embedded within the blood memory within our veins. So,
totally. Yeah, totally. And
there's also a broad range of skills just even within the contemporary culture today, you know, because I'm sitting here going, I'm texting my mate going, oh, what are they talking about? I'm the son of Tame Iti, and kind of like, and haven't got the language because I haven't, because I was raised by my Australian mother. And so, you know, and then, but my brother who's kind of gone on that journey and then and done, you know, and
te
reo, and so and so his kids are now in kura kaupapa, or have been, and they have got the reo really strong, whereas mine don't, you know. And so, and then there's a lot of whakama around that potentially with that as well, in terms of how we start to, you know, there's definitely a desire. And there's that, but there's also a shyness and you know, and
absolutely,
yeah, and sort of a way of kind of integrating into it in a safe way. And so Yeah, and so those kind of things that are definitely carried throughout a lot of people within the culture, you know. And
Totally, bro. You know, I think the recognition of the diverse realities of our people, you know, we need to take our time to fully understand and appreciate it.
Yeah.
And don't try to rush the solution,
Yes.
because if we rush the solutions, we won't be able to enact the fullness, as you've explained on your particular history and where you've been brought up, that the solution that we want to be able to create for you and anyone else, Māori, from born here or born across the world,
Yeah.
the solution's got to be tailored to the needs and the realities of our people. So that's why I keep going back to Mason Jury's kaupapa around diverse realities of our people require diverse solutions. But we've got to take our time to fully appreciate and understand the different realities, or else our solutions could be constructed,
Yeah.
but they might do more harm than actually help.
Yeah.
And so growing up, the reo was something that you were taught growing up as a second language, or was it something that...
Yeah. For me, my dad's from Tauranga. He's all here from Tauranga, and a Farrell from Tauranga Moana. He went down to the South Island and met my mother in the top of the South Island where the language wasn't very strong. But my dad and a lot of whānau that came from the north, all they really did was shared the knowledge that they had from their upbringing. And so he became the teacher at the local high school, which was predominantly Pākehā. And we had a lot of Māori there, my cousins and my relations, and they introduced, put it this way, they sort of introduced, but sort of in a way forced the option of Te Reo Māori to be an option for our Māori and non-Māori students at Queen Charlotte College in Picton in the late 70s, mid 70s when he was teaching there. And it's amazing, and we sort of seen it later on in life with programs like Te Ara Reo Māori through the Wānanga, where there's been a strong uptake from non-Māori to learn Te Reo Māori.
Yeah.
And I think it's all about this, what is the New Zealand identity? What is the New Zealand identity? Not just what is Māori identity, but what is the New Zealand identity? I think there's a big wave happening around the place that pretty hard to have a New Zealand identity without Māori being at the centre of that identity. So this sort of groundswell of whānau wanting to learn Te Reo Māori and tikanga Māori and participation in different wānanga, and it's not a mistake, it's intentional, I reckon. Because me hoki whakamuri ki anga whakamua, we must sort of step backwards as a people and as a country to enable us to come forward again through more solidarity, but also to increase the inclusiveness, because I believe that Māori thrive, the whole country thrives, but if the whole country thrives, then potentially the Aotearoa New Zealand has that potentiality to realise the fullness of its inherent whakapapa from which we all come from.
Yes.
I don't think we're anywhere near the fullness of what our capabilities and our potentialities can be as Aotearoa New Zealand.
Do you think that it can be done wrong though? You know, like so there's this if there is a, you know, we're having a lot of non-Māori starting to you know, gravitate towards the language and learn and be but I guess it's very easy to see when somebody's being disrespectful of the culture and the language, yeah. And then, but then you've got, I guess, people starting to learn the language and more. And is there a wrong way, or is there a way to abuse that in a way that's not respectful? Like, have you seen any of that kind of happening?
Yeah, I think my belief is that the values are critically important. So whanaungatanga, relationships, kauinga, responsibility, taututu, reciprocity, helping others, poatukuruatu, redistribution, the responsibility we have to redistribute what we know, especially with those less fortunate than ourselves in terms of access or opportunity, where they haven't had that access or opportunity. But I think the main one's aroha, really. If we do things in aroha, you know, we do things in aroha and do things through our Māori values, then, you know, our Māori values have been sure winners. They've actually enabled us and been a navigating tool for us to not only navigate our survival, but also navigate us from places of disillusionment to enlightenment, from places of oppression to freedom, and enables us through those values, those cultural values, those tikanga that we have, to realize the fullness that we were purposefully born to be, which is to live life in the fullness that life has to offer us as Māori.
Aye.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, there's some comments coming through, but I just wanted to kind of just follow up with that because do you think that that there is those values that you're talking about? Are those kind of values? Do you feel that those values can be taught in a real way to non-Māori? And because it's something that we grow up with, it's kind of intrinsic. Even having grown up, being brought up by my wonderful Australian mother. But I feel like everything that you're talking about in terms of those values and whanaungatanga and everything else that you were talking about, these are things that are just, I know, that come from the inside out. So is this something that can be taught to people who have more Western values, who have been taught these things in a different way, a different world lens?
I absolutely believe that we can. I absolutely believe that we can. I know that when I was taught to do a hangi, it was around doing the hangi. Was the way to teach me to do the hangi with my dad and my uncles and whānau around. So the learning by doing is a really good way, and there's a saying that's don't teach me about my culture, but use my culture to teach me. So that's actually doing the mahi, the kawa, those different protocols and those different, I'd call them now unconscious practices. But whānau who may not be conscious of those practices may need to be conscientized, which means learning by doing.
Yep.
To understand how we go onto a marae and why the woman stand at the front and the men stand at the back, and why men speak, and the different protocols associated with different places where we have 5 people stand up on one side and then 5 people may stand up on the other side, where other marae will have one, tau utu. All these sorts of things. So I think the learning by doing is, I don't know, for me it's been my best way of being able to learn what I've done, to be honest with you.
Yeah, sure.
I think it's pretty simple stuff, but the challenge is whānau who haven't been able to access those opportunities. Or they may not have the networks or the relationships, so I think that may be a barrier. So I think that will be a continual barrier.
Right.
But I think our mission is to be able to break down those access elements to enable more of our people to engage and participate, and over time transform their lives through their Māori culture, identity, knowledge, and language.
There's been a and I just want to sort of go into the comments here. Kimbo, who we got? Kimbo Mihaya, Cairo Bosman. That's a quadruple barreled name there. So she's saying here, I feel with the modern world we are fortunate. The extent of our reach, our culture, our reo has reached many shores around the world. And positive acknowledgement and the positive acknowledgement and embrace of it only makes our identity internationally more cemented. So what I'm interested in, and I'm just going to plant this with you for a second, and I'll read the rest of the comment. And that is, do we need to be validated? Is that international validation required in terms of being able to, as a culture? I'm just going to drop that there for a second. Seen, and then I think she's commenting here, Kimbo, she's seen it on TikTok with the waiata and the kanikani on TikTok of Ruha waiata being embraced by Americans, Africans, Europeans. It's so beautiful. It's fantastic to see. So there's this, I guess on one hand, if it's cool overseas, then it's cool here. There's that kind of whakaaro about it, and what do you reckon?
I just think that the only ones that I really believe should believe in who we are in terms of Māori, what we do, our contribution to Aotearoa, but also our contribution to the world is for us.
Yes.
For us to decide, for us as Māori, we decide.
Mm.
For far too long, over generations, others have tried to predetermine, construct solutions, pathways, aspirations for us, but they weren't created by us. And so, I just believe, I absolute belief in our potentiality as Māori and our ability to realise our tupuna aspirations with us, which, Sir Mason Dewey, his kōrero was to live as Māori. As simple as that, to live as Māori. And that was the aspiration, to live as Māori, to be citizens of the global world, to participate in as Māori in the global world.
Yes.
And in essence, to live life in the fullness that life has to offer us as Māori. So I think the key challenge for us is that 2 inches on top of our head. It's the mindset, and that influence, and the way that your dad has influenced multiple people and continues to do through his art, through his kōrero, through his activism, through his positions that he has taken, is an enactment of transformation. And people see that, they believe that, and they love your dad, and they love whānau. My Uncle John was with him in Ngā Tamatoa, my dad's older brother, John Oya, and Auntie Orewa and others. They enacted these aspirations because they had a belief that we had not yet realised the fullness of our potentiality as Māori, not only to Aotearoa, but to the world. And therein lies our intergenerational challenge for us,
Yeah, sure.
and the future generations that come with us.
Awesome kōrero there, bro. Hey, Dad, and so you've done a lot of stuff overseas, and with Lemmy, and obviously, and you've done even recently traveled to China, and and the culture is very confronting and visible when you go overseas. So people are always going to sort of start to inquire around sort of what's going on, and so how do you what are you thinking when that's happening? Because I've always known you first and foremost to be tūhoe. That's before you're Māori, and that's and so I guess there's that side of things as well. And then and the story that you're telling is you're traveling internationally, because I can go overseas. When I lived in America for 2 years, and I was touring with a Native American band. All the natives thought I was Mexican, or was and then but the Mexican was like, he's not Mexican. He's a native. So they
Latino.
Yeah. So and then but you know what I mean. And so there was that kind of whole whereas you just you basically walk in a room and instantly there's an association or a story to be told. And so how's that worked for you during your international?
I in 2005 or 2006, just before the raid in Ruatoki, I was approached by a guy called Lemmy Panafasia. And Lemmy was, the creator of Malproduction. He's Samoan. And he was really inspired by the fact that when we did that pōhiri down at the confiscation line, when the Crown appeared for the second hearing of the two claims at Ruatoki. And so so the whole world saw that, and they the burning of the cars, the using of the firearms. I was not the only person with a firearm on that day. In fact, I had the smallest gun. I only had a shotgun. The others had 308, 225, or everything. But they targeted me. But Lemmy Pantafasi was amazed by that. by that kind of approach, that the impact of the short news item on TV1 news, and it just hit people. What the hell was that? You know, and and so and the reason he approached me, and he said to me, I can take you around the world to tell your story. And then he said to me, do you know Shakespeare? You know Shakespeare? I never heard of that guy. I was having him on, of course. Yeah. And so, do you know Shakespeare? And so he came up with the story with Tempest, as that story of Tempest in Shakespeare, where this guy ended up in a little wee island, and over a period of time, other people appeared and turned up on the island. And so the guy on the island was this individual guy who managed to pull everybody together that landed on this little island. And so he kind of put it this way: the little island that in the story of Tempest is like the Uruwera. And and the magical fella in the story of Tempest is you. So put that together. And so, and I thought, so we had 2 or 3 days conversation about that until I come to go, okay, let's go. So we went to London, we went to Austria, Ati here. He came over to his first show with me over to Austria, to Venice, and the really good thing about taking our kōrero and our story in theatre, because that's also a part of the chicken and the kawa with the Pākehā theatre, and really interesting place there to take our story and share our story, and because this story on Tempest performed by our crew and myself was pretty out of it. I mean, really out of it. It's not kapahaka. It's not more te atea. It's the whole different approach to the performance. And also the good thing about it, the interesting part of it, and at the end of the performance, after about an hour and a half, people still remain, 800 people still remain to have a chat, to have a conversation. Whakawhiti kōrero. And and you can tell your story. What's in the roto I te reo? It's always movements, sounds, you know. So people say, oh, Tempest, and then they have a look, oh. So they're trying to put 2 and 2 is 4, or 2 and 2 is 6, and then put it there together. So I learned a lot from that. I actually learned a lot from Lemmy Panafasia, his whole approach to theatre, and the way we tell our story and put our story and show to the world. Very magical stuff, and I love theatre. I mean, to me, putting that, there was a second presentation down at the confiscation line, taking the arts, you know, on the road. You know, it's not something, not just in the theatre, it's like art. You don't just have to hang them on the wall. You have a white wall, and like we have over here. And but you can have art in the middle of the paddock, or in the middle of a wharepaku, whatever the case is. You know, so we can be very creative with the way how we tell a story, I guess.
Yeah, I tautoko mata. Arts is one of the most critical and major sites of transformation for our people is through the arts. Not just business and those particular things and finance and those particular things. It's in the mindset, and, you know, and it's the way that the mind is influenced, and the arts is at Te Wānanga Aotearoa, you know, Te Wānanga Aotearoa was built on artists, built the whare nuis, the kōwhaiwhai, the paintings through Rongo Wetere and Bucknin and others.
Oh yes.
And they just, you know, there was a space of transformation, because it's not transforming the landscape or the buildings, it's transforming the mind.
Yes,
And
totally.
that's where the
Oh, yeah.
transformative element is within the top 2 inches over here. Not just for rugby, but for the arts.
Yeah,
The arts, yes. I
yeah.
learned that from Matua Rongowetere and Buckman and Mari Panapa and other whānau who hugely influenced my whole mindset, that used to think that business was a way to be able to bring enlightenment and positive transformation through our people, but it's actually in the mindset where
Yes.
the ability to see things that others can't see, to reveal things that others can't reveal, and that's through the arts, I reckon. So ka nui te mihi kia koe matua.
Interesting part about our brain, the way our brain operates. You know, I've been having a lot of those conversations about that part of our brain. You know, reflection and how we kind of make a shift, and how we can sometimes the brain gets stuck.
Aye.
Yeah, you know, in get that codependent. I mean, how do you shift their brain?
Aye, yes.
Yeah. So
How do you shift it, Dad?
many ways to it. Yeah, many ways to it. You know, I done a lot of thought around that. You know, and the trouble when you got a brain like this is hard to go to sleep. I don't sleep.
Kia ora.
Yeah,
Kia ora.
I don't sleep at all. You know, and,
Right.
so sleeping is a breathing exercise. So I do a lot of breathing exercise, really just slowing down the system. You know, as a child, for the first 16, 15 years of my life, I didn't know how to use my brain, because it was just a physical part of my body. So I learned how to do the physical things. And when it comes to use my brain, I can hear things, I can see things. And I wasn't geared up how to deal with it. Till I removed myself when I was 16, I moved away. And going down to Christchurch, to the Technical Institute, changed
yes.
my whole thinking.
Damn
And
right.
so that allowed me to rediscover myself. And so I got to the point that I was so eager, I couldn't wait for the morning, because I want to learn new things. Yeah. So, and I'm still like that. I haven't stopped. Yeah. So I'm enjoying life. And I think that, you know, I had a conversation with Lemmy, and I shared with Lemmy where I am today. And he said, bro, that's freedom, you know. And, you know, sometimes we talk about freedom, but people don't really know what freedom is.
Aye.
Yeah, and for me, I now know what it is, because I'm doing it. Freedom to me is what I'm doing, what I love, what I'm passionate about it, and hey, and I am conscious and aware of time for me. You know, and if I can reach another 10 years, I'll be 80, and anything beyond that is a bonus.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. You know?
I'm very similar, Mata. Fullness for me is to live life in the fullness that it has to offer me in my life.
Yes.
And that's all I want for my kids and the rest of my whānau, and actually any whānau. That's why I work in education, to see education as a transformative vehicle to emancipate and enable our whānau to live life in the fullness that life has to offer them. So very, very, I love your kōrero there. And it's interesting, you know, with the Christchurch going down, sometimes have to go out of the space to find the space. And I was expelled from high school and sent to Te Aute College for my last chance, really.
Oh yeah.
And it wasn't until I got into Te Aute and met the whānau there and influenced fully by there. I actually realised that the roof wasn't the world. You know, I took the roof off and actually then be able to see the fullness of the potentiality as who we as Māori could be. That was a defining moment for me. We all have defining moments.
Oh man, well that's yeah. Sounds like you've had a really amazing journey, and that's and that, you know, and it's I guess recognizing that transformation through education and and how that works. And yeah, it's true. It's definitely something that is repeated through a lot of leaders within Māoridom in terms of that process, and how that's Dad talks about it all the time, which is that liberation of the mind, and it isn't just about liberation of the physical. And yeah, and so is the I was just thinking that as you were talking, and I just wanted to quickly shout out to some of the people that are listening and enjoying the call. So kia ora, Aaron, he's one of our regulars and watches us whenever we're on. So kia ora, Aaron, good to see you, bro. We've got Vicky who's in there, and she's actually got a partai which was around what do you guys reckon about Pākehā wanting to learn and use the reo and learn about te ao, which I think you kind of covered before, but she's been involved with it for ages and can't help herself in terms of her use and embracing the reo and Māori. So kia ora, Vicky. We've got Tyson who's just saying kia ora, and he's got something in here. Did anyone know that Kapiti Coast ingoa tuatahi was te waiwai kapiti o Rangitane Atara?
I'm not too sure.
No, I'm not sure. There's Aaron's kind of answered him there as well. No, I'm not too sure. Well, everyone's shrugging on this side, bro, but that's all good. Glad that you're here. Is the so I guess just thinking about what Vicky was saying, and this was something that popped up. I'm involved with the music industry and the Waiata anthems, the Waiata anthem that happened sort of earlier, and then there was a bit of, there was some, Dad always says, it's good to have conversation. So there was some conversations around Lord and her use of the and the release of her tracks, and her Waiata. I just wondered what you thought, sort of where you stood on that, and sort of how that was, and I guess thinking about some of the responses to her from Māori.
Well, me personally, I just think that it's it all comes down to personal responsibility, and I think whānau that we're working with Lord in relation to the whaka-Māori of those Waiata, I have no doubt that when they were working through that process, that whole sense of value, or that uara around responsibility, that kauinga, that responsibility that we have, irrespective of who we're working with, it's embedded within us, not only in terms of what we do, but really important about how we do it, how we enact those values. So I personally believe it's I think it's a positive thing.
Yes.
And that's probably because I know some of the people who are around her through that process. And it is a lot about the who, because when you say the who, it sort of espouses the values, the upbringing, the shaping of the mindset, shaping of their way that they enact their life, responsibility, relationships, all those particular things. And so I think the key part though is how do we, education is supposed to be a transformative vehicle for our kids and that. So my only question is that if education is the practice from which our whānau and our kids go to school and our rangatahi go to school, my only question is who's deciding what education has been fed to them within that school.
Aye.
So for a lot of my kaupapa, it's around who decides, and irrespective of the kaupapa, it's who decides, and for me a lot of it comes down to that group of people or that person that makes that decision around who decides.
Aye.
If that makes sense, why did he?
No, definitely. So just, hey, we're in the flow here, bro, so I hope you don't mind. It's great to have a talk with you and just get your take on some of this stuff. What I've seen is and there's Māori who work out there and they participate in at varying levels of cultural capability. and sort of where they're where they are in their journey in terms of connecting with their whakapapa. And so I kind of work in a space where I am working with tauiwi and Pākehā organizations, and we all kind of know that there has been a propensity towards, I think, with well-intentioned, there's kind of varying degrees of it, but you kind of, on one hand, it's kind of like, oh yeah, okay, we're going to adopt some cultural practices within our organization, because then we're going to bilingualize our role names, we're going to put Aotearoa into our name, we're going to do this. And I think particularly with the groups that I'm working with, I know it's more than just the intention. I know that there's the true genuine wanting to figure it out. They don't always get it right, but they're trying to work it out, and they're talking to us. And so and then there's I guess some stuff that comes out and you read it and you go, okay, you've clearly decided to your Pākehā or tauiwi in terms of your organization, and you've clearly decided to borrow or I don't want to say appropriate, because I feel like there is the intent is there, and you've looked into Te Ao Māori, and I don't know the process yet on how you've gone through it, and you've seen some things in there that you feel will help you with your culture within your organization. Then do you think that it is incumbent on Māori to look at that? What am I trying to say? I guess what I'm trying to say is that I look at that and I go, well, there's an opportunity. There is the cynics who go, oh fucking hell, they're just appropriating it, and then now it's commercial. Now it's this is the right thing to do, or they're just trying to get themselves out of the shit because that's what they. And so. But when I look at it, I go, oh, that's interesting. That's kind of what we've been wanting all along.
Aye.
And how do we help them to live that? Yeah. And so, have you come across similar things?
Well, I think and it's not necessarily just around appropriating sort of things Māori for a particular purpose, but it's also actions that and decisions potentially I may have done or I have done in my past that potentially I could have taken a step back, paused, considered other potential options, and then looked at a better way of doing things in my history. I was fortunate to have probably 1,300 staff for quite a few years, and so I made a lot of mistakes. And when I think back to those particular times, of course, there's some decisions that I would have made different to what I had made at that particular time. But hindsight has been an enabler and a blessing to enable me to be more enlightened about those particular things. So I think it all comes down to the intent, motivating values that drive that decision, that helps to conjure what that intent is. And I've made a lot of mistakes, and so my advice would be to whānau is that if you believe it's what you should be, that you're wanting to do in terms of your kaupapa to make a positive contribution, not only to Māori but to Aotearoa New Zealand, then if you need to pause and just seek some enlightenment on a particular concern that you have, then take that time to do that. Because it's easier to do that instead of having to do things that I've had to do in the past. Was kia ora, my name is Gunther Moore here. I've come to apologise for what I had done.
Yes.
And I've had to do that a few times, but I had to learn that to be able to, that's another learning for me that I just think is self-leadership skills, bro. Self-leadership for me is the most important leadership. I don't really want to lead anyone, but I do want to lead myself well. And if there's the most important leadership for me is self-leadership.
Do you think that there's a, because this is something that comes up quite a bit, Bentham, on this when Toy's here, and
Yes.
Which is this evolution versus dilution and concept, which is how does the culture evolve, and are we diluting the culture by evolving? And Dad, what I wondered, I just wondered your thoughts on where you see us, where you see the culture, just particularly around, it feels like, if we're looking at it, looking backwards and kind of going, oh yeah, Te Ao Māori has a lot of cultural practices which could be useful and from Te Ao Māori for non-Māori, in ways of and values that could be innovative towards a changing, a new kind of, or a changing of Western, corrupt Western ideologies, for example. Yep. And so I'm working in an industry right now which is kind of getting slammed right now for sexual harassment, for for bullying,
fair
for
behavior.
And so there's a lot of stuff going on, and it's and right now I'm and everyone's open to it. I'm suggesting, well, perhaps the answer, there's some stuff within Te Ao Māori that can help actually move you away from this commercialism, this over sexualization and fetishism of the artists, all this kind of stuff, that maybe there's a different way to think about. And so but maybe we don't have all the answers. Maybe it's not all there, and actually the answer is about the combination, is the coming together of the two cultures, and that's the innovation, is inside the being together and evolving together. That was the top.
That's a good one, bro.
Meters coming off there, bro.
Yeah.
I think from my wife and I, my wife and I have been very privileged, and with a group of other whānau, to do quite a lot of big privilege, in the sense of being blessed to be able to work with a lot of other Indigenous whānau in a lot of different spaces across.
That's right.
Te Ao Whānui. And I seem that we have a lot of these conversations, and we have similar solutions, but not necessarily the same. And the similarities are strong, but it's not necessarily the same. Whereas the opportunity to gain an insight that I didn't have before, that I can then come back to Aotearoa and to either amend, improve, or adapt accordingly. So I see the Indigenous. This is not to discount our Ngāti Pākehā whānau. My name's Bentham. It's not a Tuturu Māori name, Rangi Nui and Papatūānuku and all that. That's my name, and I'm proud of my name. My parents named me. So, but I find that, as Indigenous peoples, the opportunity, and when we have that opportunity, and I know a lot of whānau, Indigenous whānau, will come and visit Matuatame and the whānau. And the reason why is because it's the commonalities from which we can draw deeper together. We'll be able to research, investigate, and then obviously over time co-create, disrupt, repackage, and all those particular things. I just believe that if we're able to overcome the biggest barrier, which is always a distance-based barrier, in terms of building that solidarity, sharing those opportunities and insight, sharing those solutions, but also the problems with our whānau, our Indigenous whānau across the world, I find that we're able to develop some really revolutionary solutions that are not only good for Māori and Indigenous people, but actually good for all New Zealanders and Aotearoa, and actually across the world. So that's just an insight that I've been very, very blessed to be a part of with many.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
no, what were you?
Yeah, I have the same experience, and I done a lot of work in Southeast Asia, and working with all the different Asian hapu iwi,
and similar language, mita, to ours too, in Malays and also working with Chinese too, with the Chinese, a really interesting relationship with them too, and so they can't understand those. I think it's we are international, and then I think we're part of the international whānau, and we should be able to adapt and share our stories and our history. And around, whether through art, music, theatre, eating, sleeping, all kinds of things, and we can do it.
Yeah.
I think the worst thing scenario for us would be when we say we can't do it, matua.
No.
That would be the worst thing, when we get to a position where we say we can't do it. And that may be the case for us as an individual, but we can do it when we work with other Māori.
Oh, totally. Totally.
You know, poko hiwi ki te poko hiwi, you know.
Yeah.
All those sorts of capabilities. You know, it's really, really, really important.
Yeah.
So, just really appreciate the opportunity, Wairiri.
Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, no, it's good. But
Yeah.
but I think that one of the things I have learned, and other than education, is that working with other groups about the way they approach with addiction, and working with addiction, whether it be alcohol, drugs, and all other addiction. And it's been really interesting working with other Indigenous whānau around globally. How do they practice the using of their old ancient practice to now?
Aye.
Yes, they still can be part of, whether it be karakia, romi, ronoa, and they are all intricate part of the learning. And
I get a bit jealous of them.
Eh?
I get a bit jealous of them, Uncle. I get a bit jealous of them, Mata, and the reason why is because they still live in their Hawaii.
Aye, totally. Yeah, no, totally.
They still live in their Hawaii. And I think there's I wouldn't say an advantage, but I would say there's a particular blessing that they have on their ability to say, this is where we lived 2,000 years ago. Before that, this is where we were based. This has been our tikanga here for these many years.
Yes.
But then on the other hand, having left Hawaii to come to Aotearoa, we've inherited some particular special superpowers from our tupuna. Our ability to adapt, and our ability to innovate, our ability to create, our ability to have multiple lenses when we are focusing on a kaupapa, that we want to enable our people to live life in the fullness that life has to offer us as Māori. And I think it's that Hawaii element and coming here to Aotearoa as a sort of a superpower for us to be able to adapt, innovate, create, but at the end of the day, live life in the fullness that life has to offer us.
And this is a whakaaro that actually George Nuku, who was on a few weeks ago, he was talking about the fact that Māori were innovators, and they were, they traveled the oceans and what they had to do and improvise and innovate in in that journey, and then when they arrived, and so all of these things that are part of our whakapapa and our DNA in terms of and so hey, it's really cool to see the brother Shay Wilson. He's in the comments there, and he's just saying, "This is mean. Kia ora, bro. Good to see you." And he's just commenting on the dilution and evolution comment, and he's going, "I think dilution infers that the culture should be fixed, and evolution infers that you change and leave things behind." And so kia ora, Shay, and well, it's good to see you on here, bro, because we might get you on sometime. I'll just
amazing.
He's
amazing. And, he's not only a brother, he's a mentor also.
Yeah.
Really appreciate that, bro. Love that, bro.
Yeah. No. Hey, and so I'm going to change it up a bit here. I just wanted to kind of ask you fellas, in terms of your travels and as Māori who are now able to see a lot more of the world in our tipuna, like pushing out into other places. And what do you guys like? What is it from other cultures that it may not necessarily be something within ours that you really love? Like, what have you seen out there in the world that in cultural practices that have like surprised you, or
Yeah, I've just to start off, we're very fortunate, my wife Kate and I, and a few of our close friends, to meet some of the whānau, the Indian country. We don't call it the USA, we call it Indian country. And meet with a lot of mentors really, and role models there, LaDonna Harris and other whānau there, and we were able to gain some insights in terms of some of the strategies that the Pueblo people in New Mexico, who were colonized 3 times, the Spanish, the Mexican, and the English. So we talk about colonization, they talk about colonization 3 times, the colonization. How they utilized and employed, they saw Catholicism, and Catholicism was obviously an imposed approach by Spanish upon our whānau and the Pueblo, but how they were able to take their language, culture, and put it under the churches,
right,
to preserve it, to because they knew that was a place that was safe. And so they took, my understanding is that they took these languages, their cultural practices, their protocols, their insights, their knowledges, their whakapapa elements under the church, to be able to preserve that at a time where they'll be able to regenerate, reinvigorate, renewal process for them. And so be able to gain these particular insights in terms of being able to use what was in essence a church was a colonizing tool, which was take the native them and replace it with a better, superior culture. So how they utilize that, I just get so inspired when I look across to other Indigenous peoples. As I know a lot of Indigenous peoples look at us, but man, when we get the opportunity and we get the blessing and the privilege to represent our whānau in other places, to gain these insights has just been revolutionary in terms of my thinking, but a huge appreciation around the privileges and the blessings that we have been bestowed upon us by Mā Tupuna, but the responsibility that comes with that, to be able to enact the fullness of our Hawaiki-tanga embedded within the blood memory in our veins, to make a contribution to the next generations and potentially to other Indigenous peoples as part of reciprocity to those Indigenous peoples that have come and served and inspired us to live life as Māori in the fullness that life has to offer us as Māori.
Oh, powerful, brother, powerful. That's amazing. And you're teaching this, right? This is something that people can come and talk to you about.
Well, there's a fella named Shay Wilson, and I've got a better half than me. My wife's Kate Jerrington, and a whole number of people out there who are just doing amazing stuff, bro. Just it's just unbelievable. Missy, which is Shay's wife, and
I listen to Shay. Good call.
There's a lot out there. There's
good call.
Just whānau across the road from us, that probably around the corner from us, they haven't maybe been asked the questions that we've been asking each other. And I think that's where our unrealized potential is with whānau who are around us, closer to us, in getting someone like me on here is dark, and there's gold. We are so much treasures, so many taonga, so many pounamu that just need to be unleashed.
Yes.
To be able to give them the opportunity to express what they believe is good for Māori, and the fullness of our contribution as Māori to this world.
Too much, bro. That's
yeah,
totally. Dad, so hey, bro, we're gonna let you go because I appreciate your time, but Dad, we're gonna let Bentham go.
Yep, ka pai ho. Nā mihi nui kia koe I rarau mai nei koe konei. Me o nā whakaaro, o nā mūhiotana, māramatana. He mea nui tēnā ki kia tāu, tāna ta whenua. Ko te mea nui, koe nei te huarahi, kei mei o tātou ngā aroaro. And just a new approach. Koe nei te marae ātea. So we whakawhiti kōrero. So thank you for your mi kaua tana kia koe te rangatira mō ina kōrero.
Te atua matua atu tīpuna, hei manaki a koutou. Whai marere ki a tātou katoa.
Kia ora, bro. Kia ora.
Good one there, wait at it. Nice having that fella, yeah.
Yeah, man, that was cool. Good fella.
Yeah, he like his dad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And a humble fella.
Humble, a solid thinker, you know. So it's really, really nice that have caught it all, you know. There's, I mean, you know, not surprising. Just you know, it's really great. It's great to be able to have people on and just you know, think things inside out. And what do you reckon, whānau, out there? You've been intently listening. Aaron has that was Bentham Ohia. Was it Ohio?
And now Ohia.
Ohia, yeah.
Ohia.
Bentham Ohia. He was coming to us from Wanaka. Where does he live, Dad?
Wanaka. Like he was saying.
He lives in Wanaka. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I didn't realise.
It's a beautiful place, Wanaka.
Yeah. No, that's all good, Aaron. We know you came in late, bro. It's good to see you. And you can watch it back as well. So that's all good. What time we got? Oh yeah, we got 10 minutes or so. So we'll just hang out, put some turn the music up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And yeah, good to see the bro Shay. So we'll Tafina will give you a call, bro. We'll jack that up for sure.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I've been thinking about going for a cruise. I've been stuck in this little space over here, and gotta get my truck fixed and go for a few days. Maybe Auckland.
Yeah.
Maybe Auckland. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I thought you meant like a cruise ship.
No, just a cruise around the Motu.
I see.
Yeah,
You're gonna go on tour, I think is what you. Well, you're coming to Sounds Place, eh?
Yep, going to Sounds Place. I also want to go down South Island. I'm a karore fella, you know. It's in my blood, and you know, just like our tipuna, they're kotiti haere, and they didn't stay in one place.
Right.
And they explore the potential miles away from where they come from, and yeah. So
What are you gonna do for
I'm
New
a
Year?
bit like that because in my young days, thumb up, you move. Aotearoa is such a small place. You know, it only take you 8 hours till you come to the end of the road. You had to jump on the boat. Then you jump over and drive again for the next 10 hours. You come to the end. So it's only a small place. You know, and you know, I was a bit like that when I went to Australia, and I thought I'd go to a protest in Canberra, and I thought about going and bought a 350, I think 350 Yamaha or something like that, or 250, and I was going to go to a protest down in Canberra, and when I stopped down to the garage and find a map, see how far the place is. And I looked at it and they go, shit, not on 250cc. You know, there's a big bloody trouble from Beachwood all the way down to Canberra.
Right.
Bit better than Wellington. But that's a good thing about Aotearoa. You can, I really love our countryside. You know, I really enjoy the fact that we can do that in hours. Yeah.
Well, I haven't been able to do it for the last 120 days, and I did it for the first time today. I got to travel down to Hamilton to go check out the new Mystery Creek venue for Soundsplash. So,
Okay.
So I actually zapped down. Me and Atticus went down
Wow.
this morning. We got up at 4:30. Left
Yeah.
was out of Auckland by 5, and then I wasn't sure if the traffic was going to be gnarly, but it was sweet airs, and it was a bit of a fast one. Get down there and get back again, but it was nice to get out and do something different, and so that's cool. I'm just
The
gonna
road
quickly
is good
answer
though,
this-
eh? The road are good. You got the motorway.
Oh yeah, the road's pretty much. It doesn't take any time at all. Hey Aaron, it's Bentham all here. That's Bentham. It's Toy is currently at home and stuck on the other side of the river. There's been flooding in Ruatoki. At the Taneato. In Taneato, eh, Dad?
What's that?
The flooding.
Yeah.
Is it the bridge?
Not quite at the bridge, but just on the way down on Awaho Road.
Oh
There's
yeah.
there's
So
water.
Toy hasn't been able to get out of Ruatoki, and I think he's had some council business as well. Too slick. Yeah, look, I ordered a big batch of t-shirts. They got to Auckland within like 4 days. They arrived pretty quick. So make your order, bro. You might still get in. Yeah, you should get them by next week. So Tashi George is usually
Deal with that.
that stuff all happens pretty quickly, bro. So just get your orders in before Christmas. That's a good idea. Aaron. Oh yeah, he's saying you can come and stay with him if you're tripping around there. And he's yeah.
Yep. Thank you, bro.
Yeah, mate, that's all good. What are your top 2 tips for road trips? What do you do when you're going on a road trip?
Well, for me, going on the road trip is sleep in my truck and just lay back. You go and see a few people. I like to go out and see some of my old mates, and I haven't seen for a long time. And but I want to come up to Auckland because I wanted to have a look at this fellow who's got a factory, make posters and stuff like that. Probably look at art. Just look at art. Just cruise, really. I like just cruise and listen to music. Yeah. And
Okay, so visit friends. Tip number 1: visit friends.
yeah, just visit friends.
Yeah, and then tip number 2: have a good playlist. Who are you listening to? House music.
House music. I still love my house music. Bass. I like a bass sound. Yeah. Vibration, the noise. Although I'm deaf. I'm sorry, deaf. But I like the vibration and sing to myself.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, talk to yourself. Sometimes talking to yourself is good. Yeah, you don't have to be crazy to talk to yourself. It's a good exercise. You can hear your voice and talk. It's like practicing the waiata in mo te atea o pātere. And yeah. Good
we
practice.
get a little bit worried about you driving long distances.
And I'm pretty good. I can see, I can drive, and it's good for the soul. Actually, I had a really good long drive there from Wellington back to Ruatoki on my little grey car. No, I'm not disabled.
I'm not saying you're disabled, Dad. I'm just saying, we worry.
Yeah.
It's not like we're hiding your keys or anything. It's just, we're not always sure that your attention isn't necessarily what it used to be when it comes to driving.
Oh,
And it's long.
yeah. Actually, I must be better than I was probably about 4 or 5 years ago. Only because I was partly blind. I had cataracts, and the white line was like that. It was dangerous,
Right.
so I took a risk. In
How
the
long
end,
were you-
I had to get my Hainamana mate Derek to come and drive for me. And I had to call WeTech, can you send that Derek to drive for me? So he picked me up and drive me down to Taranaki to Waimats. But I tell you, I'm much better now. I'm very confident. If I don't feel like driving or feel safe, I won't drive. I'll
call
get somebody
Ati.
else to drive. Yeah. I'm sharp.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can still, I can still. Not that I'm going to.
All right. Well, if you
Yeah,
see him
yeah.
out there, Pano, and he's not on the right side of the white line, just give me a call, okay? Let me know, and then
No, all good.
we'll put him in a home. That's what we'll do. We're gonna put you in a home there.
Yeah, yeah, or I'm gonna stay with Nehe.
Or well, actually, what we might do is we might put you in Aaron's house. That's what we'll do. We'll just put you up there. Get him to look after you.
Yeah, all good. But yeah, we're looking forward for Saturday. We got yeah, and but more so I can't stop painting. I just been painting just about every day, and so at the moment, so I got heaps of work. So I'm not too sure when this fella can allow me to sell some more painting. They reckon hold on for a little while.
Yeah, no, we'll work you till you work you a little bit longer. No, it's like, it's good, man. Hey, you do what you got to do. If it's in you and you got to get it out, then
Yeah, I'll show you this other one I just finished.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So I'm doing this one on which camera? So
Okay, you stay on that camera. Stay on that camera.
no,
I'll change.
this one here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that one there.
Okay.
So
Oh wow.
I won't say who this going to. So it's going to somebody from this place. So it's a way to capture those moments of tohu in the two main characters, tohu and Te Whiti a Rongomai. So I managed to, the horses, the ploughing, kind of abstract. So I've been working on that for the last couple of days now, but I think sometimes it's hard to say, I think that's enough, I'll finish. You know, and so you gotta, that's when you start talking to yourself. Ko mutu aho. How do you stop painting, you know? So that's a new word called parihaka. It's going to somebody's birthday, so I'm happy with it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I also done one. Where is this? The Onepu. Oh yeah, something quite different.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's quite different. Yeah, I done it for a guy who claimed to be the Kaichakitana of the Unepu, the little wee village in between Putawaki, there's Putawaki there, and Tarawera away at the back. Yeah. Mauna Whakamana. It looked like a lady, but it has a guy. But it may be his female side. It's only putana, so I haven't done anything like this. So that's quite different.
Yeah, that is different for you.
So there you are. Just yeah, this one just about ready, and but you need a big lounge to hang this.
Yeah, I reckon.
But
Oh, well, I think that's us. That's us.
us?
Yeah.
Nam hi kia koutou, kia ora Eric, Kevin, and to te whenua. Thank you for that.
Yep. Thanks, Vince. And thank you to Bentham for coming on and having an amazing corridor. It's really great.
Yes.
And we'll have Delaney on next week, on Saturday.
Yep.
So he's coming down from the Aotearoa Music Awards. And then, so yeah, it's be good to catch him. Oh, actually, I've got to send him an email.
Yeah.
See if he's my place on after the awards, and then yeah, okay, Dad, I'll let you sign off. Sure.
Okay.
Thanks, Ati. Hey, bro, thank you for
Thank you,
adjusting the
Ati.
cameras for us today, bro.
Yeah.